Good morning and welcome to the daily cyber briefing for Thursday, the 8th of May. I'm Stephen Ridgway. Cisco has released a patch to a vulnerability in iOS XE that is affecting wireless control of the iOS XE wireless controllers. The CVE is, or the vulnerability is tracked as CVE 2025 20188 and has a CVSS score of 10.0. Pretty serious, as in easy to exploit, pretty much complete takeover of device, blah, 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 usual stuff. So if you are using Cisco iOS XE wireless controllers, there are patches available. Very strongly recommend that you take a look at those at private patches at your earliest convenience. So yesterday, amongst various things that we were talking about, we did cover briefly was it yesterday? Might have been the day before, can't remember. The logic or lack of it of paying a ransom if you've been hit by a ransomware attack. And one of the points that I brought up is something that I stand behind. You can't trust the criminals behind these attacks to do what they say they're going to do if you pay the ransom. Yeah, I know if your data, if you're paying in the hope that the data won't be leaked and that there won't be further extortion and blah blah blah. Well, my argument has always been if these people are criminal enough to steal the stuff in the first place and attempt to extort a ransom from you, why do you believe that they're going to do what they say? Do they suddenly become honourable when you've paid them some money? Have you got a legal contract with them that you can sue them if they don't do what they... No, of course you haven't. It's absolutely ridiculous. Well, it's a good example of that here, and so I think one that in the discussions that you may or may not have with senior execs outside of the cyber or tech arena, discussing what your approach to ransomware or extortion should be, is a perfect example of a school in Canada where they paid the ransom. It wasn't typical ransomware, as in encrypted stuff, pay to get your systems back. It was they just nicked the data. The school or the authority paid the ransom, not just to prevent it from being leaked, but on the promise that the data itself would be deleted. So you'll find that it is no surprise that later on, as reported in the Register, the individuals whose data was swept up as part of that leak are now being individually extorted in order to prevent the leak or the public disclosure of their data. So bear this in mind. You need to have, in my opinion, a bloody strong reason to pay a ransomware group in order to do something. They're criminals, therefore they're not. You have no reason to believe that they will do what they say they're going to do. Certainly not in the long term. They might do it temporarily, but you may be breaking the law by paying the ransom. If you have been encrypted, your systems have been encrypted, you're paying to get them back online again. You should have absolutely no expectation that those systems are safe to use once they've been recovered, because they've been altered by software controlled by criminals. So the effort involved in making sure that there are no further backdoors that have been left in there before encryption waiting to be re-encrypted again, or that the data itself hasn't been in some way manipulated. There's absolutely no good reason to believe that something that's been recovered in that way is safe to use. So, and then you've got the whole thing about, well, even if you pay them to do these things, they might just sell your data on to somebody else who will then start extort. They get the money off you, they can still sell the data to somebody else who will then come and extort more money off you. So, take this stuff into account when you're thinking about what to do, and as part of your ransomware playbook. Not the technical one, the business level one. And it's the sort of thing that is often actually best discussed during tabletop exercises with senior people. If you're doing them properly, like I was saying earlier this week, you need to be involving people from across your organisation to work out whether your corporate or your company-wide playbook actually functions, not just have you got technical capability of doing stuff. And then finally from me today, another article in the Register, which is reporting on some research done by the VPN vendor Surfshark, looking into which mobile browser or which mobile browsers collect the most data about you. And then, does anybody else remember that? I'm pretty certain that Google's corporate values at one point included "do no evil." I'm not entirely sure that shouldn't just be written "do evil" these days. Never mind. Anyway, Chrome is noticeably worse than a lot of other browsers. It collects 20 different types of data, including contact information, financial details, location, browsing history, search history, identifiers, usage data, diagnostics, whatever, all sorts of things that it's collecting. The second worst was Bing, collects 12 types of data. Safari and Firefox, by the way, each collect about 8 types. The best browser for not collecting information about you was actually the Tor browser, unsurprisingly. Brave was also pretty good, collects a very limited set of data types, certain amounts of usage data and some specific identifiers. So some of the information collected by Chrome, in fairness, will be collected because users have opted for that to be collected. Financial information, it may well be that you have given Chrome permission to hold this data for you, passwords as well, and things like that. So there are. It's not necessarily doing all of this surreptitiously. You can find out what sort of data is being collected on you. Certainly, information in the Apple App Store gives fairly detailed breakdowns of what data is being collected by applications, which I think is a very good thing. I suspect most people don't pay enough attention to that, but at least the information's out there. So yeah, if you are concerned about privacy, it is worth having a little read of the article, and it is worth thinking about which browser you should or shouldn't be using, depending on what your risk appetite is for this sort of stuff. Perhaps if you're in the industry in cyber and you want to be doing cyber-y type things, Chrome isn't the right browser for you. But then, risk assess, make the decisions yourselves. Right, okay, that's enough from me for today. I hope you have a good Thursday, and I'll speak to you all again tomorrow.